Welcome to another episode of My Awesome Podcast. I am Salim. This is Mike. We have a lot to talk about, so let's just get into it.
Okay, so first up, we've been doing videos in the beginning, and I just want to say, I look at a lot of sciencey stuff. I think it's pretty clear that I'm a nerd. But I saw this, and I don't know. I think a lot of people might skip by it, but I kind of wanted to play it, and then I guess we'll talk about it.
Okay.
The first ever CRISPR gene editing medicine just got approved in the US. This is a huge deal, so here's what's happening. The new treatment, called Casgevy, treats sickle cell disease, where basically a mutated version of a protein called hemoglobin turns healthy red blood cells like this into harder crescent cells like that, which can then clump together and cause extreme pain and deprive people's bodies of oxygen. Up until now, the most effective treatment have been bone marrow transplants to give people other people's cells that can then produce healthy hemoglobin. But now it doesn't have to be somebody else's cells. With CRISPR, we can edit the DNA of living things, including us. So now doctors can take a sickle cell patient's own cells out of their body and then edit the DNA of those cells. And then they put those cells back in, and the patients get a new form of healthy hemoglobin from their own updated cells. It's hard to overstate how many people's lives this could make better. And hopefully it's just the beginning of using CRISPR to design new tools to help more people. If you like
All right, so let me first by saying CRISPR is just an acronym.
Mm-hmm.
It stands for, and this is not going to mean a lot, but
Okay.
I'm going to say it anyways.
Yeah.
It stands for clustered, regularly interspaced, short, palindromic repeats. I don't know. I probably screwed that up.
Okay.
But the point is what it is. It's a process that we can use to take. It's gene editing, so we can actually take almost like a cut and a paste. Like you take a little bit of genes out of something else, and then you can jam them in to another DNA structure.
Yeah.
So the cool part about this is that people who suffer from something where, like she was saying, sickle cell, where, you normally have to get like a bone marrow transplant. The issue with that is there could be rejection and a bunch of other stuff, but there's not rejection if it's your own stuff.
Yeah.
So they can just take a little bit out, fix the problem, put it back in, and you're not going to reject it.
Wow.
I think this is incredible. And I think this could be a precursor to a lot of hereditary problems that we have. Now it slides down a slippery slope
Sure
of
does.
gene manipulation.
Yeah.
I think we've all seen, what was that movie with Uma Thurman and Ethan Hawke?
Oh,
Gattaca.
yeah.
Yeah, and we don't want to move to a future like that.
Yeah.
But, a lot of times when we have transplants, there's a lot of risks that come with that. And if it was just from your own body, I think the risks would be cut down.
Yeah.
And I know it's a huge step to go from that to the Gattaca thing, but
Right.
but
Yeah,
it could be. I saw this and my nerd brain went, holy crap,
Yeah.
we're living in the future.
Yeah. Because that's pretty impressive that we're making strides this far to be able to do something like that. But yeah, I think that is just a testament to the other side of things when we can automatically have a reaction and think, oh, what about this horrible thing that's going to happen, or some other alternative other than what it's meant for.
Yeah, I like getting excited about science, and I like, when we do new amazing things. I mean, we've talked on the show about space things and stuff like that, and I just think, man, the future sounds cool.
Yeah.
Hopefully, we'll be able to solve some of our problems with stuff like this.
So does this go into, because I know that before we talked about how there's like no money in cures type of thing. So
Well, no, the conspiracy is that there's no money in cures.
You're right.
I think that there's trillions in cures.
Yeah, for sure. So I guess this maybe will fall in line with that, only because, this is a fix to a problem. This is not like a Band-Aid. This is like a potential solution to, so hopefully it's real.
Yeah, and I'm not a geneticist or a doctor or anything like that, but from my point of view, I think the slippery slope we were talking about with Gattaca and things like that is that you're manipulating. Well, you're basically bioengineering your own human being, which is a problem. And I have a problem with that. But manipulating our current genes, I have less of a problem with. Because if you're born with like hereditary problems, like I have some hereditary problems, and if they could just make some type of, I don't know, shot or something that I take, and then all of a sudden my problems go away, that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, maybe this can start happening like at birth, so they can just have newborns, do something, fix all those
Well, no.
improper genes, and boom.
Yeah, yeah. That gets close to the slippery slope, though. But I get what you're saying. Like, okay, like you're wearing glasses, I'm wearing contacts. Well, when we were kids, at some point, somebody noticed that we didn't see right. We got an eye test, and then wham,
Yeah,
But wouldn't it be awesome if they were just like, okay, well, we're gonna take a little bit of your blood, and then we're gonna change your genes, and then
yeah.
you can see well. I mean, that's a huge step from what they're doing here.
Right.
They're extracting something, and then
Yeah.
okay. But my point is, and I got excited about it.
Yeah.
Is it just me, or are non-nerds like yourself?
No. It's exciting. I don't know how to take that, but no. But
Would you prefer me calling you sports fan? A sports fan?
Yeah. But no, it is exciting because I think that there's just a lot of regular people out there who think that not much is going on in the medical community. So it's very, very positive seeing things like this.
You had something, correct?
So my video is not as scientific, but we'll stop it after a couple seconds and we'll talk about this content.
Sure, that's fine. I don't want to make the show all about nerd stuff. We should laugh sometimes too. Okay.
Hey, bro. So I'm part of the HOA, the homeowners association. I keep track of the neighborhood, making sure people are doing the things they need to do. Yada yada yada. You have like a ton of packages on your porch, right? HOA code says you're not supposed to have this many packages on your porch. You can order as much as you want.
Okay.
But you can't.
Okay, hold on. So we can stop it there. There's a little bit more to that if we want to pick it up later. However, there's a couple things I want to talk about this. So I've never been in the HOA before, but I just find it interesting. I mean, I understand that there's probably some very positive things about HOAs, but I don't know how much I trust this video.
I mean, there could be something like this. I lived in a, what would you call it, a condo complex, and we had an HOA, and I participated in things, but it was mainly about, it was a high rise in a city, so it wasn't like a street with a bunch of different houses.
Yeah.
So the rules were things like don't put stuff in the hallway, and, you couldn't like decorate your door. They wanted the hallways to look the same, and they didn't want arguments to be, well, they put a bunch of Halloween stuff out in the hallway or whatever. And if you had animals, you couldn't just let them roam around by themselves.
Yeah.
I mean, there were some nosy people that said things that I thought were annoying, but for the most part, it wasn't an entire street like this. And I think that in this type of scenario, it could get more annoying because you feel like this is my property and my house.
Yeah. Yeah. And then what they go on to say is that, your packages have been here all day. You haven't brought them inside. So therefore you're going to be getting a fine. Where, somebody could be working. What if my whole family's away, we're working, or if somebody lives alone and I'm not home to put the packages inside.
Yeah.
So,
what if I come to get them at midnight or something? You didn't give me a chance. I mean, we don't really know.
Right.
If maybe this was overnight or something. We don't know.
Yeah. And so I don't know. So, I mean, I hope that, this is typical of HOA.
You hope it is typical?
No.
You hope it isn't?
Yeah, I hope that it's not typical of an HOA representative or just a whole policy, for something like that, or, those type of things where they're like, monitoring your every move.
Yeah, you know, I get the pluses and the minuses. I've heard other stories about neighborhoods with HOAs who have people that get really picky on things, but the rules are set up there or set up for worst case scenarios. So, like if they say, you know, you need to keep your lawn in a certain fashion, and these are the only trees or plants or whatever that they've approved, and then somebody sticks some decorative tree there, and they go, "I'm sorry, you got to get rid of that. That's not approved." Okay, that can kind of stink because maybe that does make everything look nicer.
Yeah.
But then the flip side of that is if you got a bunch of dead plants,
Yeah.
those people are getting yelled at too.
Yeah.
And at least you don't have to look at that crap.
Yeah. So here's the thing. So like I said, I don't live in the HOA or anything, but like I usually leave for work in the morning and it's dark outside, and when I get back home, it's still dark, like, or it's dark again or whatever. So and right now I have like a ton of leaves in my yard because I just haven't had a chance to get them all. You know, I started them a couple weekends ago trying to clean it up, but never got a chance to finish it. So in a situation like that, I'm like, would a HOA be not understanding, and they're like, hey, everyone else cleaned up their leaves and you're the only one left, we're gonna get a fine?
They could, yeah.
That seems just so ridiculous.
Well,
Like,
but then the deal is maybe everyone on the block is looking at your house going, dude, take
okay,
30
so-
minutes and get rid of the
so
leaves.
so then you guys can come over when I'm at work, like during the day when it's light out and it's
Well,
sunny
no,
out. Then
see,
come over and clean them leaves.
That's
'cause
not how that works. You know,
if it bothers you so much, then come do it because I'm busy, like working.
generally though, when you move into a place, you are aware that there's an HOA. I mean, there could be an HOA that forms
Right.
after you live there,
Yeah.
and I would say that would be more aggravating, but at least from my perspective. But if you move in and you know that the HOA is there,
Yeah,
before you buy the house, you can request the rules,
yeah,
and so you know what you're getting into.
Yeah.
And if you knew what you're getting into, I'd say tough.
yeah.
I'm sorry, you
Well,
got to
I
do
hope
it.
that the person in this video like fought that fine and didn't end up having to pay it or whatever. Because I don't know, it just seems like, you know,
Well, you know what I would say, at least from my experience with the HOA that I was in, participate.
yeah,
Like, and they understand people are working and stuff. We used to have meetings like late at night, like 8:30, or sometimes they'd be on the weekends.
yeah,
It was because people were working during the week, during the day.
yeah,
And there was a point where the area I lived in, after you were an HOA for a certain amount of time, my building used to be apartments, and then it was flipped into condos, and then we formed an HOA, and then after a certain amount of time, some things had to be done. And one of the things that had to be done was we had to negotiate for a bulk cable rate, so everyone got cheaper
oh, okay,
TV
Yeah.
cable, yeah, which was nice. And we were also going to get cheaper internet. And you know, I worked in the IT industry, and the people that were in charge of this didn't really know what they were doing. They were talking to salespeople, and salespeople were trying to sell them on stuff.
yeah,
And they had like three options they were going to go with, or three options they were considering. One they were going to go with, and they published it in an area that all of us could see. And I immediately had a problem with it. And so I called up somebody and I was like, hey, what's going on? They're like, we're going to discuss it during the next meeting. And I went during the next meeting, and I just basically, at a point where they're like, anyone with any questions, and I raised my hand, they called on me, and I was just like, this is crap. This is stupid. And in a couple of years, it's going to cost us a bunch of money. It's not going to be upgradable. We're not future proof. They were going to hire some guy to maintain it. And I'm like, what happens if it's 3 a.m? I got to like work remotely and it goes down? Am I waking that guy up? And they're like, well, no, there would be hours. And I'm like, unacceptable.
yeah,
So I helped them negotiate with a local cable provider to provide our internet. And the deal is that they didn't get the TV package they wanted because we had to go with this other provider. But we got a better internet, and we didn't have to manage any of it.
yeah,
So if it broke, you
Yeah,
just
yeah.
call the company. It doesn't matter when
right,
there was no hours
Yeah.
for tech support. So
yeah, nice,
but yeah, I would say if you got a problem, participate.
yeah. Well, we'll see. Maybe we'll follow up in a few weeks and see how this person fared.
One of the things I wanted to bring up, and I brought up the fact that I'm like a car person over and over again.
Nice.
Okay, so here is a new Mazda concept car. And here's my issue. and I'm gonna complain a little bit, but then and then I'm gonna say maybe we've all got our complainers. Maybe we've all got what we asked for. Okay, so this car is called the SP. It was in a Japanese car show. It's got like the butterfly doors, which I think are cool. I like non-normal doors sometimes. I think that's a nice change. Here's another view of it. I think it looks real sleek and sporty. You know, you got the big haunches in the back for the tires. It makes it look aggressive. The back end actually kind of reminds me of like a Lotus Elise a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I think it looks awesome. And when I see stuff like this, I think, why don't they make that?
Yeah.
Because to go from a concept to an actual car that the rest of us can buy seems to be not something that normally happens. I want to say that the concept car, again, I'm sighing because I'm thinking they're not going to use this. But one of the things that Mazda has used in the past and has been kind of known for is they stepped outside of a conventional piston engine for a little while in a couple of their cars. And that is the rotary engine. They used a rotary engine. And the cool part about a rotary engine is that it's very small and can still create a lot of power.
Okay.
There's definitely pluses and minuses from a conventional piston engine to a rotary engine. It's not all positive. Some of the rotary engines have problems, but this one was going to be, or as a concept, it could be a hybrid rotary engine. And they said, besides responding like their other sports cars that have the rotary engines, it would also get better fuel economy. It should have faster takeoff. And because it's got basically a generator built in, they said you could plug it into your house and run it from your driveway and use it to power your house like a generator.
Oh, wow.
Which I find anytime anything's got more than one use, I think interesting.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think it's gimmicky.
Yeah.
But the Ford F-150 Lightning works like this too, where if you buy a special, it's like an inverter for your house, and when you plug it in your car into it, it'll charge it when your house is receiving power from the grid or wherever you get your power from. And then if your power goes off, it can flip over and your house can power, or your truck can power the house. And just to see another company going, well, we could do that too.
Yeah.
I also want to say kind of retro cool. If you look at the headlights here, they're like old school flip up headlights.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm not sure if I've got any of them with the any pictures of when the headlights are up. There they are.
Okay. Oh,
it looks
nice.
kind of cool, right?
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
not old school boxy,
Yeah.
but it's different.
Yeah.
So here's another one. This is the Mercedes-Benz concept car, and it's a driving car. Now, it doesn't do all the future tech stuff that they say it could do, but this back piece is active aero. So that would mean like on a 911, you might see like the wing come up and twist. That's what they're doing here. They're controlling the air flowing over the thing with these little hexagons. Here's what the interior could look like. Looks really futuristic. It's got a big side door on it like this.
Wow.
I don't know. I look at this thing and I think that is the coolest thing ever. It just looks futuristic.
Yeah.
Again, we're not going to see this car.
Yeah. It looks like a car from Tron.
Yeah. Well, I think they called it the Vision Avatar or something. I don't know if there was a tie-in with that. But the point is that we won't see that car.
Yeah.
So I find that kind of annoying. Like, why tempt us with these things? And, they'll say, well, we're just trying out and showing future ideas and trying to show how creative the company is. And, you might see little small things like maybe lights from a concept car end up in a production car, or a type of styling, or maybe a type of window or interior or something like that. And so they say, it's not like we're just losing the entire concept car.
Right.
But I see futuristic stuff like that, and I just think, how come we can't buy something like that?
Yeah.
Okay, now there's this one exception, and this is going to be a controversial car.
Okay.
And I think, people are on the fence. I don't know anybody that's just like, okay, whatever. I think everyone's either like, that is the ugliest thing ever, or that's cool. And the car I'm talking about is the Cybertruck. I mean, it looks like what video games look like in the 80s,
Yeah.
like when you just have 8-bit graphics. There's
Mhm.
no round anything to it. It's all hard edges.
Yeah.
And some people look at it and say that looks awesome because it
Mhm.
looks different. It looks like a concept car, right? But some people are like, that is the ugliest truck I've
Yeah.
ever seen. And so my deal is I was just thinking about all these concept cars that will never have a chance to drive in or ride in or
Mhm.
buy or anything like that. But then one car company that seems to be backing up their weird ideas
Mhm.
and just swinging for the fences and going, you know, I don't even know how weird this is going to be, but we're going to try,
Yeah.
is Tesla. But then you end up with
Yeah.
this. And I got to tell you, from a tech standpoint,
Mhm.
like the motors they're using, the batteries they're using, they have a drive-by-wire system, rear wheel steer. This thing turns like a very small car, even though it's like the size of an F-150,
Yeah.
which I think is awesome.
Yeah.
Although I feel like if I bought that, if I went to the grocery store with that, when I came out, there'd be a crowd around my
Yeah.
car.
Oh, for sure.
And I don't want that.
Yeah.
I don't want a crowd around my car. I just want to load up my groceries and go home.
Dude, you can't have like a interesting looking vehicle because a lot of
Yeah.
people are going to be like, "Hey, what is this thing?"
No, I totally understand.
Yeah.
It's sort of like if you, had a supercar or something like that, and you took your Lamborghini to the grocery
Yeah,
store,
yeah.
people would crowd around
Right.
that too. But I'm not buying multiple cars.
Yeah.
I just kind of want one car that does the jobs that I need it to do.
Yeah.
Like here's an easy example. One of the well, I guess I have two cars now that I've said that. I have a crappy beater truck I use for crappy things, and then I have a car I drive around. But my truck, it's an F-150, and it's an older one, so it doesn't even have the step up. So there's no way to get into the bed easily. So I have a little step stool in the garage next to the
Yeah.
truck, and anytime I got to get in the bed, I just kick that thing over with my foot and climb up. Well, a newer one would have the step you could pull out, which is nice.
Yeah.
This thing sits on airbags,
Oh.
and the back trunk lid comes down, and then you can hit a button and it'll bend down further, and then there's a sheet inside of it, like a metal piece that slides out, and then you can push a button in the truck and it'll kneel, and then you can just walk right up like a ramp.
Oh, wow.
So you don't have
That's
to have
crazy.
ramps.
Yeah. Interesting. Wow, that's nice.
Which I think that feature's cool, but also I don't know. Maybe I need to ride in one. But
Yeah,
from the pictures, I just think, what is this?
Yeah. Yeah, it does look funny. Like it does look like it's out of a video game. But-
Elon Musk kept making comments about Blade Runner, like this would be a truck that you see in Blade Runner. So yeah, I mean, it kind of looks like what people in the 80s thought was the future,
Yeah. Yeah.
which I think it's kind of retro cool, but
Yeah.
retro futuristic cool.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's got to have some type of useful benefit, to be in this design,
Right.
But I don't know. I wouldn't buy it if it was available and I had a chance. I don't think I would.
Here's the thing. I think my next car is going to be electric,
Yeah.
and my truck is kind of a pile of crap. And so if I could get an electric truck that'll do both things that I want,
hmm
then I would consider it, but
Yeah.
I don't know. It's
Okay.
very different.
Yeah. Okay, so I have another story that I wanted to talk about. And for my next few, I wanted to just focus on some news that was coming straight out of Michigan, since we're broadcasting from Michigan.
Broadcasting.
Okay, so the first thing I wanted to talk about was this this news story about this 15-year-old boy who ended up dying, and his mother's on trial for kind of neglect and his death.
Right.
So I know you've heard about this.
Yeah, it's big news in where we are in Michigan.
And so it's it's pretty sad because I didn't hear the case from the very beginning, but I know that this woman straight up kind of just neglected and abused his child, and you know, just unimaginable conditions that led up to his death.
Yeah, and we should say that we know from this morning,
Hmm.
because this morning was,
Oh yeah,
to tell you when we're recording this,
yeah,
the verdict is out. So she was found guilty.
yes, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So she was definitely she was found guilty, and sentencing hasn't begun yet, but I'm sure we'll find out soon. But was found guilty that she was responsible for his death. So
Yeah, and it was messed up because when you would hear her talk, it seemed like she was just saying, well, I'm just a strict parent.
hmm
But they were pretty insane, what would you call them, punishments?
Yeah.
I mean, I think, well, the court system called it torture.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, she just constantly was on him.
Yeah. So one thing that I remember reading about this was that at the time of his death, at age of 15, he weighed 69 pounds.
Wait, was it 69 pounds?
Yes.
Oh, I thought it was
Yeah.
more than that. That was 100 and something.
Oh no, no. When I read that, it said 69 pounds. When he was weighed, or that was his weight at the time of his death. Which, I mean, I can't imagine. I don't know how tall that person was, but 69 pounds on anyone about 15. I mean, you're gonna tell that there's something not right. That they're, either not eating or somehow they're malnourished or something is going wrong. And as a mother, I'm surprised that she, used the defense in a lot of her, in the case that, she doesn't recall, or, she just wasn't aware, because that seems a little bit outrageous.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it did. It says just weighed 69 pounds. Yeah. Well, one of the things that they covered was what happened when, well, he died, and then they called 911 and acted like, I don't know, he's unresponsive.
Mm-hmm.
And then they said that they kind of worked it out. The husband and wife, or, well, I guess I don't know if they were married, but mother and father,
Mm-hmm.
and said that we'll have to tell the police that he was on a hunger strike,
Mm-hmm.
except for there was a lock on the refrigerator and the pantry.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when
Yes.
questioned about that, they would say, oh, he would leave the refrigerator door open, but he could get food anytime he wanted. But
Yeah.
then there were all these text messages that said he wasn't allowed to eat.
Yeah. Yeah. Terrible.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's absolutely effed up.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, so a little bit more, there was something in there too that they would, I don't know if it was because he was misbehaving, that they would feed him bread that had, that was like doused in hot sauce,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, as a punishment.
Yeah. Yeah.
And at one part, she said that he could have 4 pieces of bread completely covered in hot sauce. And then if he kept that down for 30 minutes, then he could have 4 more
Oh
pieces
my
of bread.
gosh, so crazy.
Or he got in trouble once because he broke into the fridge and ate frozen chicken nuggets.
Mm.
But then she's telling everyone he was on a hunger strike. I
Yeah.
mean, does that sound like...
Yeah. That don't sound like a hunger strike to me.
No,
That
it
sounds
doesn't.
like desperation.
Yeah, it was messed up. And there was something around where they were talking about his room.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it was like a closet.
Oh.
Like, I don't think it was a full bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
And they kept saying he likes it in there.
Yeah.
Also, they found handcuffs and shackles.
Mm.
And they said, but they never used it on him.
Oh yeah, of course.
But there's text messages when they talked about ordering them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's so terrible. And I'm glad that, I mean, I'm sad that, it took his death to find all this out.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that, she was found guilty, and I hope that, I mean, I know that there's other kids out there probably going through some other torture, but just one case at a time.
It just upsets me that it's just because, like, people feel like because they can physically have children, they deserve children.
Yeah. Yep.
And I would strongly disagree with that.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, we talked about it, a month or two? No, now I guess it's a couple months ago, about the Utah woman.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It was a couple months ago. Yeah.
Yeah, and their online parenting cult thing that they had going, which just feels ridiculous that somebody like that would think that they know the right thing. They have such a a good style of parenting that
Yeah.
it should be spread around. And this woman kept talking about, oh, well, we better do this, we better do that because he misbehaved.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know what type of misbehavior it was.
Mm-hmm.
From what I heard from the trial. It sounded like he was just trying to survive.
Yeah.
And he was being punished for it. And I just think, you know,
Yeah. Yeah. And I did see that.
I wish somebody would have intervened.
Yeah. And I saw that. So it said that he was autistic and he had maybe hearing and speech impediments.
Yes.
But a child that has that is going to need some extra care. So if, maybe him, seeking some additional attention or something that's going to require you to like care for him more, if that's what they thought was bad behavior, then.
And I think, at least from my point of view, that's how I took it.
Yeah.
But the other thing is that she evidently was was it a paralegal? No, she was like a court clerk.
Yeah.
Yeah, but she was going to be a lawyer, and I believe she just recently passed the bar and got a really high score.
Yeah.
And she got didn't she graduate like top of her class?
Yep, she did.
Yeah, so
Yep.
she's not an idiot.
No. Yeah, and she kept using the defense as I don't recall or I don't remember.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
Yeah, and there's no way.
I'm sorry, you don't graduate top of your class and have a terrible memory.
Yeah,
You'd never be able to learn anything.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But it was very convenient because some of the facts she remembered right away, and then other facts she would be like, I'm not sure.
Yeah, so good riddance to bad rubbish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we haven't seen the sentencing yet, but
yeah. Right.
she was found guilty. So,
Yeah. So that's a step in the right direction.
yeah. Okay. So I want to move on to something way lighter than
Okay.
what we're talking or what we were talking about a second ago. I saw this the other day and I just thought, that's a cool fact. Like it was something I didn't know, and it made me a little happy about, well, things that go on in government, because normally all you hear is all the negative stuff on TV. And I saw this, it was like a short or something, YouTube short, and I had to do more research on it. Did you know that the Senate has a candy desk?
A candy desk.
Yeah. So I guess it was started in like, I want to say it was like 1965. And I think I was just reading a second ago that, well, here, I'll put it up on the screen,
Okay.
that I believe 18 senators have been what would you call it?
The candy desk chairman.
The caretaker of the candy desk. Now, the thing is the original person had, I believe he had some type of issue where he had like sore throats. So he brought in some local candy from his state, and they was just hard candy, and it was donated to them, and he just poured it in the desk and said, hey, whoever wants some can grab some. Well, that was cool. And the issue with other people taking care of it is, if you think about it, senators, even though sometimes in the news we hear that this isn't the case, but they shouldn't be getting just gifts from people.
Yeah.
It has to be it has to fit a certain criteria. So now when the candy desk changes hands, whoever that person is, wherever state they're coming from, they have to bring in candy from their state that's
Okay.
that's basically gifted to the Senate, and it's kind of hilarious. Let me let me flip over to the picture. This is the picture of it.
Nice.
I don't know what year this was or what type of candy that is, but it changes hands a lot. And if you look at the center floor, or the Senate floor, I should say, it's located here over by the door.
Yeah.
So everyone kind of walks
nice.
past it.
Yep.
And people just grab, a lot of times it's just open and people grab candy out of it.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if it's ever been on the Democrats' side. I haven't seen that. But the website I was showing you before, that was senate.gov. So this is not like
Right.
this is not like a joke or anything. And I just thought, wow, I heard something about the Senate that doesn't piss me off.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, but evidently, it changes all the time too, and it comes locally, and you might even learn something about that state.
Yeah. True. Yeah.
Oh, well, we don't have hard candy, but we have this or we have that.
Yeah. Yeah. Or maybe the company that's making it has been in business, for like 100 years or something.
Yeah, and I'm not going to rank the states as far as good and bad
Yeah.
candy, but what I will say is when it gets to Pennsylvania and you got Hershey, Pennsylvania there.
Oh yeah,
I mean, basically,
Yeah.
sky's the limit then.
yeah, for sure.
Because isn't Mars in
Yeah,
around that area too?
yeah,
Either way,
yeah.
that sounds pretty
Yeah,
good
yeah.
to me.
Okay, so for another one of mine, straight out of Michigan, was this story here about this deer that was euthanized. So let's go ahead and watch the video, and then we'll talk about it.
Way to edit that down. I'm pretty sure it wasn't. Well, whatever.
Yeah.
A domesticated deer named Annie wrangled, then shot and killed in a Lawrence family's driveway by a police officer. The Pokagon Band Tribal Police Chief says the officer involved is on paid leave as a result of that shooting, which was all caught on camera. News Channel 3's Autumn Pitcher spoke with the family and community members there who say they're horrified and heartbroken by what happened.
Friends and family all coming together here in Lawrence, all for one dear Annie, who wasn't just a wild animal. They say she was a family member.
Have you heard about this?
In front of him.
Annie is a name Pamela Babb's family
No,
never
can-
let go of.
Yeah, you can stop it.
Okay, wait a second.
Yeah.
Wait a second here. So it's a wild deer,
Yeah.
and they named it.
Okay, so listen. So
okay.
in the news story, it states that so this
But it wasn't anyone's pet.
it wasn't anyone's pet,
Okay.
but this deer, the mother was either hit by a car, or maybe it was shot by a hunter. Either way, they know that the mother had died, and the deer had just been like a friendly little deer and was coming up near people, and people were allowed to pet it. Like the deer was just very friendly, and after a while, the community kind of just got to know the deer. They named it. They started to feed it. It was just like a regular pet, but it didn't belong to anyone. It kind of belonged to just the community.
Okay. But why? There's a lot of scenarios where police in an area like this would have to shoot a deer. Like I remember in high school, I was a passenger in a car, and one of my friends had hit a deer. We immediately called the police. Because you got to have a
Yeah.
police record for the accident. It was an accident,
Right.
and the deer was half alive, and the police officer put it out of its misery.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what was the reason here? Because it looked like they just ran it down.
Well, nope. So the officer was actually on the site for some other reason, and he noticed that there was a domesticated deer, because he went up to it, was able to pet it, and was like, "Oh, this deer is domesticated. I gotta put it down."
Okay, why?
Because I guess you're not supposed to have a domesticated deer in this area.
Okay, that can't be true unless it's a new rule, because there is what would you call it? A theme park?
Yeah, but maybe that's different because
Well-
this was like a residential area.
Okay, well, the theme park used to, it's called Michigan's Adventure. It's in West Michigan. But what it used to be called was Deer Park. And they used to have deer there
Yeah.
in a cage, well, a fenced-in area.
Yeah.
And you could feed them and stuff.
Oh, okay.
So unless there's new laws or something.
Yeah.
So they're just saying, so just because it was domesticated, they were like, let's shoot it.
Yeah, yeah. And so the officer, I think he got something, like got it around the collar, and then he shot it in the neck. And then, and a lot of people that were there were, mad about it because, for one, it was shot in the neck. It was around the families and the kids, so they could all see it. It wasn't done kind of in private.
What's the negative? Like I understand when you're dealing with wild animals, there's things that you shouldn't do. Like when I was a kid, I always heard never touch a baby bird because then the mother might reject it.
Yeah.
So basically, if you touch it, then you're going to have to raise it or it's going to die.
Yeah.
So just leave them alone.
Right.
So what's the danger of this deer being domesticated?
I don't, because it's still a wild animal. It's not like a trained.
Yeah, but what's
pet.
the negative? Because there's a bunch of people on TikTok that are feeding deer and have deer all over their yard, and they come out like there's one with the guy with a cup of corn. He comes
yeah.
outside and he just feeds them, hand feeds them.
I guess, and plus in the video it said that this officer was a tribal officer, I don't know what that is. And
Oh, it must mean that he's on a reservation then.
oh, okay,
At least that's the way I would take
okay,
it.
okay. So maybe that's what it is. Maybe you can't have domesticated animals or what something like that on this property. So he felt like that is the reason that it had to be shot.
I don't know. I'd have to look into this more because I just feel like, what's the negative of
Yeah.
a deer coming up to people in one neighborhood?
Yeah, I don't, do they carry disease? Maybe it carries disease. No, maybe he was looking out for people.
Well, they do.
Or-
They
yeah.
do carry Lyme disease and other pretty serious things. Although, you know, we were talking the other week about you know, people had trained like animals and birds and stuff like that, and there was a person that had trained a bunch of crows to retrieve money.
Yeah.
And I have this other friend of mine, and we've talked about how crows actually have a really good memory, and they can teach people stuff, or not teach people stuff, but they can teach each other things. Like if you're nasty to one of the crows, they will tell all the other crows that you're a problem.
Yeah.
And they will treat you like garbage. They will mess with you, and they will like dive bomb you and things like that. And they'll screw with your stuff.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, if you're really nice to them, then they'll bring you things and they will hang out by you. And I always thought that was kind of cool. And I know that there's crows in my yard, and I've always just kind of left them alone.
Yeah.
But I thought, what if I put some birdseed or something out there
Yeah.
for them and see what happens? You know, maybe they'll bring me bottle caps or something. I don't know. It would be interesting just as something to
Right.
do.
Yeah.
But now I'm thinking, well, what's going to happen?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I don't need somebody going, oh, you've gotten them too used to human beings. Let's kill them.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. That's what it is.
Because I feel like they're pretty used to me because they're just in my front yard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's probably what's going to happen is that, you know, the DNR is going to be privy to.
It's always the DNR.
So I don't know. I thought that this was interesting. I mean, the people were, you know, furious. You know, even calling, like the officer even was placed on paid administrative leave while they investigated.
Yeah, but there
this
could be
even more.
two sides to that. One, they could be like, the community's so ticked off right now, we don't need you out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do some paperwork
Yeah.
or take a couple days off or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. But
No, it's a messed up story.
yeah. So sorry to end that on such a downer note, but
No, it's all good.
yeah, okay. Well, listen, this was a very good conversation. Please don't forget to like and subscribe and leave some comments on anything that we talked about and let us know your feedback.